Elias pushed the door open. The air inside the bedroom was unnaturally still and smelled faintly of damp earth. Toby was already tucked in, the heavy wool blankets pulled up to his chin. Only his pale face and wide, dark eyes were visible in the silver sliver of moonlight cutting through the curtains. Elias managed a small, weary smile, though the chill in the room made his skin crawl. "Time for sleep, Toby," Elias whispered, sitting on the edge of the mattress. He expected the bed to dip and creak, but it felt solid, almost like stone. Toby didn't move an inch. He didn't even seem to blink. The boy's gaze was fixed on the ceiling, his pupils tiny pinpricks in the center of his irises. Elias reached out to ruffle his hair, but stopped just before his hand made contact. "Dad?" Toby's voice was thin and brittle, like the sound of dry parchment tearing. It didn't sound like the voice of a 7-year-old. It sounded like a recording played at the wrong speed. "Could you check? Just once? Check for the things that hide where the light can't go." "Under the bed, Dad, just in case." Elias let out a soft, forced chuckle. "You're getting too old for this, Toby. There's nothing under there but dust and old socks." But as he spoke, he felt a drop of cold sweat slide down his spine. The room felt as though it were shrinking, the walls pressing inward. He slowly began to lower himself to the floor, his knees cracking in the silence. The floor was freezing, the wood feeling more like ice than oak. Elias leaned down, his face inches from the floorboards. He peered into the darkness beneath the bed frame. At first, there was nothing but a suffocating blackness that seemed to swallow the dim light from the hallway. He squinted, his heart beginning to thud rhythmically against his ribs. A pair of eyes blinked back at him. They were terrified, shimmering with tears, and deep in the furthest corner of the underbed space, Elias gasped, his breath hitching in his throat. It was Toby, the real Toby, huddled into a tiny ball, his back pressed against the cold wall. He looked smaller than he had only moments ago, his face twisted in a silent, agonizing scream. The Toby under the bed reached out a trembling hand, his fingers catching Elias's sleeve. He leaned forward until his cold breath brushed his father's ear. "Dad," he whispered, the sound vibrating with a primal fear. "Dad, please help me. There's someone else. There's someone sitting on top of my bed." Elias felt the blood drain from his head. He was trapped between two versions of his son, one in the light and one in the dark. The weight on the mattress above him shifted. He heard the slow, rhythmic sound of breathing, not the frantic breath of the boy in his arms, but a deep, satisfied sigh from the entity above. Elias began to look up, his neck stiff with horror. A pale, spindly hand with elongated fingers draped over the side of the mattress, reaching down toward Elias's head. Above him, the figure that looked like Toby leaned over the edge, its jaw unhinged, stretching into a wide, toothy grin that split its face from ear to ear. "Found you," the thing in the bed hissed, its eyes glowing with a sickly yellow light.